Yes, again.
Of course. Don't worry.
Hello, good morning, goedemiddag everyone. Today we're speaking with Aragorn Meulendijks, Mr. Metaverse. Hello, Aragorn.
Hello, Vera.
Well, really nice to meet you. And I'm making interviews for 20 years, but
Mhm.
this is my first interview in my life about Metaverse. And I would like to start from the very beginning. What is Metaverse?
That is the question, isn't it? Everybody
Yes,
keeps
please.
asking. Everybody
This
keeps
is my
asking me this
first
question.
global question. What is Metaverse? I know
Yes.
it's a huge fashion. It's very fashionable. But what is it?
Well, the way I like to think about it, and the way I like to think about it is that it is a right now it's a convergence of technologies that each on their own have the potential to completely reshape our society and our economy through the way they allow us to interact with our digital identities and our digital self-expression. There's a lot of definitions out there for the metaverse. There's more detailed definitions. For example, the one from Matthew Ball from the book The Metaverse and How It Will Revolutionize Everything. There are other thinkers out there. There's a very strong NFT movement in the blockchain space that really associates with metaverse and talks about the metaverse. I think that we have to be honest, and that is that the exact definition of the metaverse is not yet finished. Think of our current period in time a little bit like you thought about, like you would think about the 90s with the rise of the internet.
Yeah.
Right at the time when people said the internet, if you'd ask people what's the internet, nobody could actually tell you. Some people would know, it's a network of computers, and other people would tell you it's a marketplace for information. And then other people would say, yeah, it's like the electronic highway, and it's gonna, our lives are gonna be digital. I think the same thing's going on right now. So I can only tell you what I think of it in terms of how I think it will change our lives.
Yeah.
And what it will be exactly, we will have to find it out together.
Okay. So, in my perception, it is something like objects in the air. For example, I am in a room, there appear another objects, maybe another world, and I can interact with this somehow. This is how I perceived it.
This is one aspect I think that will definitely be an important aspect of our experience of the metaverse.
Yes.
So augmented reality,
Yeah.
the augmentation, expansion, extension of the reality as we experience it every day through technology. But I don't think it's the one or the defining aspect of the metaverse. The metaverse, like I said, it's basically an evolution, and in a way it will be a revolution, because we will see a lot of change happening over a very short amount of time that will be very impactful in the next decade. But it's really about how we interact with a digital extension of our reality. Right now it already exists, right? If you have a mobile phone,
Yeah.
on this phone you have 1,000 apps, and each of these apps, exactly. You have mobile phones and you have 1,000 apps, and these apps allow you to control certain parts of your life.
Yeah.
They allow you to extend certain parts of your life, like your social life. They allow you to be in contact faster. They also allow you to express yourself in different ways. You could be playing a computer game, and in this computer game you could be a figure, a character, a hero. That is an extension of your identity, an extension of reality. But you can also be on a social media, and you can even have a picture or a photo or an avatar representing you, right? So really what we're seeing is that we see a continuation of a trend that we've started in, and that's where we have a digital identity and a digital way of expressing ourselves, and that will continue on. But right now, I think, and this is the thing to really keep in mind, there's a few things that really are very significant and will change very significantly. One is the fact that right now, if we go into our digital lives, we take our phone out of our pockets or we open our laptop, and then we move from the physical world into the digital world. And they're not directly interconnected. I can't have a talk with you and at the same time experience something on my phone. It will change my attention. I change back and forth, right? But I think that in the future, through, for example, augmented reality and through, even more advanced wearables like this, this is my Whoop that registers my heartbeat at 1,000 times per second. There will be a further integration where I can have a conversation with you. I can look more or less like on a computer screen, but in reality, I look at your face and I see other information popping up. Like right now, I might be in a conversation with you and at the same time looking at your LinkedIn profile, giving me some extra information to augment our conversation. In the future, we will have glasses. And when I say the future, I mean in the next few years, we'll start seeing this become more mainstream. We'll have glasses that provide us with information real time from the internet, augmented by artificial intelligence, which knows exactly what information we need at what moment, while I have a conversation with you. But that's one aspect. Another aspect is digital ownership.
Yeah.
In our digital lives so far, we don't really own anything. I mean, you might think you own something.
Website.
Well,
The domain name.
Yes, you own a domain name. This is true. You also can, to some extent, own whatever IP you have on your website. This is also true. But by and far in the digital world, you don't own the things you use. And an example of this is, for example, when you go onto Facebook, you sign a user license agreement, which means that you are not actually the owner of your profile. In fact, Facebook, or Meta now, in its user license agreement says that it also doesn't claim to own any pictures of you that you put online, but they do actually tell you that they take the right to use those pictures within their ecosystem to improve your experience, whatever that means, right? And so, but we lived in a world where you could just right click, save as pictures online. And you can still do that, and in that sense, it's not much different from buying a poster in a store. You can buy I can go to any store and I can buy a printed poster of a Van Gogh, right, or a Rembrandt.
Yeah.
And then I can put that on my wall in the house. And in the same way, on the internet, you can copy paste a picture and you can put it on your background on your computer or your phone. But it doesn't actually mean that you own the original, right? Doesn't mean you own the original. And so now we're having this move through blockchain technology and NFTs, which are widely misunderstood, I think, that for the first time in human history allow us to have true digital ownership and everything that comes with that. So that's the second part, I think, of the metaverse, and the fact that our digital lives will become more intrinsically entwined with our physical lives.
And recently in your LinkedIn, I read an article that metaverse does not exist. What was that about?
Yeah. Well, the metaverse, as it is posed initially, by, for example, the writer Neil Stephenson, who first used the word metaverse in 1992 in his novel Snow Crash, but also by, for example, a metaverse thinker like Matthew Ball, and by many other people out there. It has many aspects. We already covered two. We covered virtual and augmented reality.
Yeah.
We covered digital ownership. But there's another very important aspect here that is absolutely crucial to the metaverse, and that is interoperability. And the best way to think about interoperability is if we think about the physical world that we live in today, you can breathe everywhere, right? You can't breathe on the water, but outside in the world, you can breathe anywhere. And even if you go underwater and you take an oxygen tank with you, you can breathe. Yeah. You don't have to log in once you walk into the sea. You don't get a pop-up and you say, I'm logging into the sea, and you don't need to do that to be able to go there. If you don't go into a different country, you don't need to log in to be able to breathe there. You don't need to log in to use a train, right? Yeah. You might need a ticket to prove that you're allowed to be on the train, but that's a human construct. But physically, you are compatible, right? You can be anywhere, anytime. You can take your clothes with you. You can take your money with you. That's interoperability. It means that you have complete freedom to go anywhere in any time within the constructs of physical reality, apart from our human constructs. But in the digital world, it's really different. In the digital world, you cannot just go from one place to the next right now. You can't bring your assets with you. If you play one game and you play, for example, a game like Roblox and you have an asset there, you cannot go into a game like Minecraft and bring it with you. And that concept, that's a concept of interoperability, and that's something that we need to bring into the digital world. And only when we have complete interoperability, that means when we can easily move from one environment to the other and we can take our assets with us, that's when we'll have a metaverse. So now I realize that if I say that, then technically we might not have a metaverse, for many, many years to come, because even if the first kinds of real interoperability come into existence, then it's not complete interoperability. And so you could argue that we won't have a metaverse, and it might take, 20, 30, 50, 100 years, maybe even. I don't know about that. But I think that if you would take the lowest threshold for interoperability, right? So the idea that if you have a digital asset that you can at least, go to a majority of the internet environment and bring those assets with you. I think if we have that as a measure for the first kind of proto metaverse to exist, then I think that that is also something we don't have today, but that is something that we will have in the next 5 to 10 years, at least to a significant extent in terms of human experience. And I think that that's a really important checkbox we need to check before we start talking about the metaverse. I think maybe it's even better to talk about it the other way around. Right now, there's so many projects out there, right? So many projects, so many games, so many environments, blockchain, crypto projects like Sandbox and Decentraland, and Somnium Space, I think is another one's coming up, and they all claim to be metaverses. But I just don't think that's true. They're not metaverses. They are all siloed worlds set on their own, confined to themselves. And anything you do in there and have in there, you can only have in there. With the exception maybe of Ready Player One avatars. But the problem in Ready Player One avatars is that they're actually a centralized service. But that's a different conversation. So true interoperability is far and wide between right now, if at all. And until we have some measure of that, I don't think we can talk about a metaverse. Because there's not multiple metaverses, just like there's not multiple universes. There's one metaverse, like there's one universe. I know there's string theory that says that we have infinite universes in the multiverse, but we have no proof for that yet, just theories.
Well, Aragorn, it was incredibly interesting intro to the metaverse.